One day when I was browsing the fascinating video library of YouTuber Tom Scott, I came across a video he made where he explains why, when you upload a video to YouTube, they want to know if there's any paid promotion in it, and the same is true for Instagram. Well, it turns out it's actually a United States law. The federal government wants to make sure that I am not deceiving my YouTube audience by including a product in that and giving it a favorable review when the company has actually paid me to do so. So I want to start off this video and be crystal clear about it. This video contains no paid promotion. Here's how it happened. Several years ago, I discovered and became inspired by fitness and physique model Brandon Foken. And I was already a follower of his on Instagram when he released his new line of peanut butter. When I discovered that he would be at the Mr. Olympia 2019 as a vendor, and I was going to that same Mr. Olympia, I decided I would look for him, and I found him. We had a nice conversation. I've already detailed that in one of my Vegas episodes, and I bought a jar of peanut butter. In that video, all I did was mention that I had bought the peanut butter. I hadn't even tasted it yet. But I sent the link to Brandon and said, "Thank you for having the conversation with me." He wrote back and said, "Thank you for the publicity." Well, I didn't really think it was all that much publicity, but he was very grateful. In fact, he was so grateful that, if you're a regular watcher, you know, he sent me 3 full jars plus 2 sample jars completely free. So I decided to return that favor again, and if you're keeping track, this is now the 3rd favor, by reviewing those peanut butters here on A Body in Progress. Once again, there is no paid promotion. Brandon did not send me the peanut butters, expecting me to give them a positive review on my channel. In fact, he did not send them expecting me to review them at all on my channel. But here we go. And if I play my cards right, he'll be so grateful he'll send me more free peanut butter. Welcome to A Body in Progress and my very first product review episode. I hope to have a lot of these in the future, especially if they involve free clothing or tasty food. And today we get to start with tasty food, or at least I'm hoping it's tasty. I have yet to open it. You can see the safety seal there. These are jars of Foken Nuts peanut butter, created by fitness model, workout model, Brandon Foken. This is a guy I came across years ago on Instagram and BodySpace. Long before he actually created his peanut butter line. He is a fan of peanut butter. His website talks about how he grew up loving it, and one day he decided that he was going to create his own. I went ahead and splurged for 1 jar of his Foken Nuts peanut butter. Yes, Foken Nuts. We are 1 vowel sound away from this episode not being family friendly. And true to his word, Brandon Foken has sent me a jar of peanut butter. Compliments of Foken Nuts for presenting it in an earlier episode of my Vegas trip. Which brings us to the present day, March 1st, 2021. It is National Peanut Butter Lovers Day, and I thought that would be a great time to go ahead and finally open these jars, which have been sitting on my shelf since the day that box arrived, just waiting for me to have the time and motivation to actually create this episode and do these jars of peanut butter justice. I have already finished the jar that I bought in Las Vegas, and so I have a few preliminary remarks, and one of them is you can tell on your very first bite of Foken Nuts that it is natural peanut butter. I remember when I was younger, my mom had a peanut grinder, and we would actually make our own peanut butter. And how did you do that? You poured the peanuts in the grinder, and you ate what came out. No additional ingredients, no chemicals, no processing. It simply ground them up into a paste-like substance, peanut butter, and the natural oils of the peanut butter gave it a spreadable texture. And so, having already tried that first jar, I noticed instantly when I took a bite that it brought me right back to my childhood memories. I haven't even read the ingredients label, but I'm assuming that it's peanut butter, that it's peanuts. There's a little bit of extra ingredients in here, in part because he doesn't just make peanut butter. He makes peanut butter and cookie dough, or cookie dough flavor, peanut butter and brownies, peanut butter and cookies and cream, peanut butter and white chocolate, and peanut butter and crunchy nuts, and maybe more for all I know. These are just the ones he sent me. There's nothing really wrong with the major labels of peanut butter you get at a typical grocery store. They're a bit processed, they're a bit manufactured, but they still involve peanuts. And if you want to take the time to read the nutrition label, you'll know exactly what you're getting. But if you are a bodybuilder, a weightlifter, if you're somebody who's carefully counting calories and you really want to pay attention to exactly what's going into your body for specific muscle building purposes, then you do want to buy the stuff labeled all natural at the store. You want to avoid the big names and the processed peanut butter. So now the other sign that you're dealing with natural peanut butter. There is a separation going on here, in part because they have been sitting on my shelf for over a year, but they've had plenty of time to do the separation. Let me see if you can see that there. All that peanut oil at the top. This jar from a major grocery store, which shall remain nameless, could sit on my shelf for a year or the same amount of time as these and not separate. So this is a good sign. All right, now, which means, though, we also have to stir it up. I have to get this down in here. It's been sitting there quite a while. I may have to edit this, too, because this might take some doing, which is my fault. This is not at all a commentary. When I got these jars from Brandon, they looked like they were ready to open and spread. Oh, letting them sit this long may have been a big mistake. There we go. It smells good. In fact, it smells quite fresh. All right, this is Nuts About Cookie Dough. I am reminded, first, of my reaction to the first jar that I had. It's very rich. I discovered quickly, when I tried to make a sandwich the first time, you just don't need as much as the manufactured store brands to enjoy it. Okay, now because I really don't want to eat 5 sandwiches, we're just going to do kind of a corner here. All right, Nuts About Cookie Dough in sandwich form. Yeah, that's good. As I expected, and not even counting the fact that it's got an alleged flavor, it doesn't taste like the store-bought brands that I grew up with, but it's good. It's good. All right, so I will put that one on my positive list. A flavor I would buy the next time I meet him at a Las Vegas expo. But again, very rich. I think I still put too much on the bread. Now, do I try to get this back in the jar? All right, this is going to be more of a process than I thought, but I was able to salvage most of it, get it back out of the bowl into the jar. And so that's one. That is the cookie dough, Nuts About Cookie Dough. Let's go with Nuts About Cookies and Cream, which is what I kept wanting to call the cookie dough one. This one feels a little softer, so we may not have to get this out of the jar. The good news is that the cookies and cream jar was revived from its stay of multiple months on my shelf a lot easier than the cookie dough. Let's give this one a taste test. I don't know that I could say that this necessarily tastes like cookie dough. And I don't know that this tastes like Oreo cookies in peanut butter. But then I've never put Oreo cookies in peanut butter. So what I will say is that also tastes good. So regardless of how realistic you think the flavor is in the end, it tastes good. So we're 2 for 5 now. 2 for 2 on flavors that have me going nice, as opposed to never again. That one works as a sandwich also. Sometimes when you get creative things, when you get something that's normally for one use, I don't know, like a cheese or something, and somebody comes along and tries to create flavors for them, they just don't work the same in recipes. Not that this is a very extensive recipe, but you know what I should do? I should try each one of them in a protein shake over the next couple weeks also. And see how they affect the flavor of my favorite protein powders. That one is also less dense overall than the cookie dough. The cookies and cream, it's spread a little easier, and I don't feel like I am trying to survive a mouthful. Nuts about brownies. Doing the brownie flavor in a white sweatshirt was probably not the best choice, but so far I am accident free. All right, we have this one back to a spreadable consistency. And the taste test. All right, that one does actually taste like a combination of peanut butter and a brownie chocolate type flavoring. I admit in advance I'm a little skeptical about it as a sandwich spread. I don't think it would be my first choice, if I'm just going to be honest, but I would eat a sandwich. I would eat a peanut butter sandwich made out of the Nuts About Brownies flavor. This just in from the Radiant Mrs. Johnson. The Nuts About Brownies is very good. She could eat that by the spoonful. Right, so moving on now. We have Nuts About White Chocolate and Nuts About... Actually, not Nuts About, just Crunchy Nuts. Okay, so this one is probably the most like regular peanut butter. I will save that for the last. These smaller jars do not come with the handy thumb tabs. I'm going to have to... Okay, Brandon, talk to your packagers. These small jars are quite the challenge. Nuts About White Chocolate. All right, Brandon has an uphill battle here because I'm not a fan of white chocolate. So, in this case, I would actually want this to not taste like white chocolate. That's almost just like regular peanut butter. No, I can actually, yeah, there's an aftertaste. There's a, I feel like I'm at a fancy restaurant now. It lingers on the tongue, and the longer it lingers, it does start to get that creamy white chocolate sensation. Okay. Points to Brandon for achieving that. Again, I'm not a fan of white chocolate itself, so... But as a sandwich, I don't know, I think as a sandwich, I would actually do the brownies before the white chocolate. Which kind of surprises me because this is the one that I expected to not find appealing in sandwich form. I will say that if this is what I had and I wanted a peanut butter sandwich, I would eat it. So we are 4 for 4 for flavors that I would eat. None of them off-putting. None of them having me going, nope, I just do not like that. I mean, they have rankings. I have preferences, but nothing is below the line so far. My mouth and saliva glands may have just had too much peanut butter, period. And that brings us to the Crunchy Nuts, which I'm guessing is going to be the most like regular flavored peanut butter. because it doesn't list an interesting flavor. Now, if this were a Roadrunner cartoon, as soon as I get around to the other side, the jar of peanut butter will stay in place, and I and the table will fall into the center of the earth. Oh, this is a thick one. All right. Taste test. And that is definitely crunchy peanut butter. That is almost exactly what came out of my mom's peanut butter grinder. The label is so small, I can't read the ingredients. And my eyes are 46 years old. Non-GMO, dry, roasted peanuts and sea salt. That is literally all that's in this jar. Which, as I said at the beginning, if you're a weightlifter or just anybody really watching what you put in your body, that's what you want on the label. Peanuts. Yeah, you can even see the that red paper thin. It's not a membrane. It's just that covering. When you crack open a peanut shell and inside there are two peanuts and they have that little red papery stuff on them, you can see that on these peanuts. And yeah, that's basically a peanut butter sandwich right there. Somebody might be thinking, why not just put jelly on the sandwich and that'll help keep it moist and send it down. I don't like jelly on my peanut butter. I have hated jelly on my peanut butter sandwiches since day one. That is the end of the taste test, and in wrapping up, I want to start with a couple of comments just because Brandon was nice enough to send all of this complimentary. One, all of the mixing that you saw, I want to stress all of the mixing and having to get it out of the jar and get it smooth and creamy again is because I left it on the shelf for far too long. Now, the plus side is that because it's pretty much just peanuts with maybe a little extra flavoring in there, I've never had a stale peanut. Peanuts just last and last and last. So if you do accidentally leave it on your shelf for over a year, even if you have to really get in there and get an arm workout, getting it creamy again, it will taste just fine. All 5 of these are ready to eat, as ready as they were when he first sent them. So that's good there. Overall preference. Ooh. The crunchy nuts is the most like real peanut butter, but I think if I'm going to get on his website and buy a jar in the future, I would go with cookies and cream. That's just my personal vote. I would encourage you to try some out yourself. See which one you like. And if you're ever near a fitness expo or any kind of marketplace where Brandon is set up and you have the opportunity to meet him, he is a very pleasant guy, very conversational the day that I got to meet him. Very inspirational with his workouts and his social media. So the head of the company is an all-around asset to the company brand itself. It's not a question of the CEO being some kind of negative personality that actually goes against the brand. So that is my exploration into Fokin Nuts peanut butter. Overall, a thumbs up, no complaints, and try it out. Hope you enjoy it as well. Thanks for joining me on my very first product review here on A Body in Progress, and for the record, spotless all the way through.